Hello everyone, I am Sourav and this is the final presentation for ABE 694 and I was teaching ABE 690 Visual Sensing and Sense Making as a TA. I actually helped with the labs. So this is the sum up of the whole teaching and the ABE 694, what I have learned and what are the scopes for improvement for me. So let's do it. Lesson learned about dealing with students. So I have dealt with the labs and there are around 25 students and I have noted a couple of things. First thing is prepare for different class scenario. You may not comfortable with it, but you have to deal with it. So in 694, Dr. Freeman explains some situation where these situations are unlikely and these are not. The first thing I would like to talk about is lesson learned about dealing with students. There are two sources of this lessons. One is ABE 694, what we discussed with Dr. Freeman and what I learned while teaching the course. So first thing is be prepared for different scenario you may not like. So you might not be comfortable with a lot of things, but you have to deal with it. If someone says something that you are not comfortable, but you have to find a good way to balance that and find a appropriate method of taking care of that. Let's suppose I thought ISO had a dress code, so later I found out that ISO doesn't have a dress code. So in that scenario, if you are not comfortable with the dress, but you have to carry on with the class. And the second is don't bother until the learning environment is disturbed. If some student comes with food and is keep eating on the class, but they are not making noises or the smell isn't disturbing anyone else, so you have to be fine with that. Otherwise, if that's disturbing the whole environment, you have to speak to the student. You have to tell the students that it's not good for the whole environment. And another thing is don't take everything personally. You have your own belief, but a student might have a different belief, so there is nothing personal. And the next one is be vocal if that's against the university code of conduct, both inside and outside the class. If someone make some inappropriate comments about gender, sex, or someone's background, you have to say, okay, I'm not comfortable with that one. So it can be inside the class or it can be just walking and saw some other students making inappropriate comment. You have to say that you are not comfortable with that. And the last lesson I would like to talk about is TS sitting position. I learned that in the class, so I was like, oh, that matters. So on the plus delta survey, some of the students told that, so I was sitting on the middle, so I was more accessible to the students from the middle rows and the last rows. So one student wrote that if I was sitting on the back rows in a corner, so they might not reach me. So I try to sit in a position where everyone can see me, and I usually used to walk around and ask question, hey, everything is good or not. So that made a really big difference. The second lesson I'd like to talk about is effective learning, how students learn effectively. So in plus delta, they mentioned that they learned really fast and effectively when they talk to their peers regarding the problems, or when they take a look at the lecture note and trying to find something similar online, blog post, YouTube video, any other resources. So those resources are pretty good and pretty fruitful. And they also mentioned that taking the course from the class and applying into their own data set, that gave them much more confidence. Oh, we can do that on our own data set, it's working. outside the data provided by the professor or the TA. It helped them a lot. I think it's these 3 points I'll apply in my future while I teach anything. The next one is lesson learned about teaching. So when you are teaching something, you have to be very specific about the course content. You have to have clear understanding what you are teaching. You have to mention every things that required to run the course or do the self-learning. And the next one, we talked about that again and again in the class. It's better to have a fixed grading system and fixed office hours. It's not about from the course I was teaching. This lesson I learned from the ABE 690, especially from Dr. Freeman. The next one is the lesson about class outcomes. I thought the teacher's job was to make students successful, but later I found out in AB 694 it's not actually TA or teacher's job to make students successful. The main and primary job of the teachers and TA are to just give the students the materials and show them the path. If the student follows, they might be successful. If they choose not to follow, then it's up to them. And if a large group of students do really bad in a class, that indicates that the teacher or the TA is also responsible for the outcomes. They have to take the responsibilities and try to figure out what went wrong and why to improve. And the next couple of slides are more like a summary of my plus delta and why should I improve. So let's take a look at some good points about me. So a student mentioned again and again that I'm available and I'm easy to approach. They can contact me anytime and I usually reply really fast. If I'm not available, then I just reply, hey, I'm not available right now, but I'll talk to you tomorrow or day after tomorrow. And I really have good communication with most of the students, I think. So in our class there are 4 rows. My professor, he usually take care of the first row students. So I don't have that good communication with them, but other than the first row, the second, third and fourth row students, they are really comfortable with me and they seek help when they need. And the last one is I have made a video lectures. So this is the first video lecture in our course. So I worked really hard on that and it took a couple of days, and it was actually not one lecture, it was actually 2 lectures. So I created the video lecture and made a short version of it, so uploaded both of them in YouTube, and the students really liked it and they reached out to me and said, hey, you did really good with the video lectures, and it was really made our job easier, and we really did well with the homework or in-class exercise. I have a couple of limitations that I figured out. I was missing communication with some students that I told earlier, especially the students from the first row. They're actually more comfortable with the professor. So I really missed them. I think that's a great option to improve my communication skill and reach out to them. And the second one is they wrote on the survey again and again, more video lectures would have been nice. So I think I should have provided some video lectures along with the code provided by my professors. That would have helped the student. There are some options for improvement. So as I told earlier, the communication with all the students, so it's more like 1-to-1 communication. And I tried to reach out a couple of students after doing that, but unfortunately when I got the results, the classes are moved into virtual environment, where it's really hard to have 1-to-1 communication. Just you have in a lab you can just take a walk and ask students where they are doing well or not, but in virtual environment it's not actually possible in that way. We try to make announcement in Canvas, but if students feel comfortable, they reach out to the professor or me, otherwise they're not. And another point, I noted that students from different background come to a class, and we should have made focus on some students from different backgrounds. So some student asked that a crash course about the programming in the beginning of the course would have been better, especially the students coming from animal science or agronomy background. So if I had a chance to teach these types of course again, so I'll try to take a look at the students' background, and I'll maybe create 1 or 2 or 3 lectures, extra lectures actually, for the students who came from different backgrounds, so that they can have much better understanding what the programs are doing. And the last thing is to ask for, I think I'll obviously implement them in future, that the supplementary materials. They told us, okay, we have the lecture, we have the all the materials, but some supplementary links to blog post or YouTube video would have been better. So some YouTuber or blogger, they made things much fun, easier to understand. So those resources would have been better for the students. So I'll obviously include them in future. So that's it. Thank you everyone. Have a good day.